An incident at a local grocery store has led to the arrest of 22-year-old Rico Marley. The young man had a possession of 6 loaded guns in a Publix bathroom. A local Instacart shopper said that he heard what believed to be an AR-15 rifle being loaded. Here's social worker Angela Armstrong on some social policies that correlates with this incident.
The current policy that relates to this story is gun violence and healthcare policy, but mostly it focuses on the gun violence end of the policy. The main provision of the gun violence policy is to encourage a multidisciplinary education awareness in efforts to prevent and reduce violence.
Angela Armstrong says that there are some strengths and weaknesses of this policy, and some of those weaknesses could be exposed in this story.
The strengths of the gun violence policy is it limits the number of individuals that are not allowed to exercise their rights to bear arms by law. Purchase of a firearm legally, which reduces the number of gun violence. The weakness as those that are flagged and may be in need of some sort of protection are not able to do so. And also, if the FBI doesn't respond in those 3 days, one is allowed to make the purchase and could potentially be a threat to someone or the world. As it relates to this story, Mr. Marley could have been a copycat of the Colorado incident. However, we are not sure how he purchased his guns. If it was a purchase under the table, there was no way that we would be able to prevent that. However, if he purchased it through a gun store where that initial background check was completed, was it a clean break, or did he participate in the Charleston loophole, which is the FBI extensive background check that takes 3 days and they didn't respond? Or is it that maybe he passed and has some type of mental illness that we were not aware of and still allowed him to make that purchase? Because from my understanding, he is undergoing a psychological evaluation.
So, if you had to make any changes to the policy that we are discussing, what changes and recommendations would you make to ensure, more safety and less of an attempt of things like this?
If I were allowed to make any changes to this policy, I would require each buyer to have completed a gun safety class and receive a certification of completion before they can purchase a firearm, in addition to the background check. I would also like some type of system or formality for certain mental ill patients to be flagged and undergo an extensive assessment to ensure they are in compliance with medication and treatment plan of their doctors. I would promote those changes by normalizing gun safety conversation. Not only normalizing it, or as in defining normalizing it, it would become a part of the safety assessment. Asking the families, do you own a firearm? Is this firearm locked up and out of the reach of children? Have you had a gun safety class with your children? Have you guys taken that particular class? If not, are you interested in taking that particular class so that you know that you and your children are safe around this firearm? And what I would like to see my peers and other social workers do is just basically normalize that conversation of gun safety.
Final question of today that I have for you. As a social worker yourself, have you experienced gun violence or any form of gun violence? And what steps do you take being able to go out and have to deal with different people? What steps do you take to ensure your safety?
To ensure my safety, we always take the police with us in my field of CPS. If you feel unsafe at any point, you're to take your local police department. Me personally experiencing gun violence, no, I have not, but I have had several cases that I have assessed or investigated that involves gun violence. And what we typically do to ensure the safety of others or the children is we remove the children from the home so that we can further assess the home for safety. And we definitely have conversations with parents and caregivers and custodians about gun safety. And then we also have conversations with the children about taking other avenues than being upset and using a gun as resolution, as final resolution to their situation.
As of now, Rico Marley is currently facing 11 felonies for this incident at the grocery store. All the while, more details are still coming out. In Tukwila, I'm Jacoby Wright.